And hello, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Zone TV Movie Entertainment with me, your host Jonathan, once again bringing you my thoughts and review for this week's episode of Star Wars' Andor, Season 2, Episode 4. So, if you have not caught up, spoilers ahead, because 3 episodes in, 3 episodes out. So, let's talk about it. So, this episode did pretty much a time jump in a way, another year jump. So, a year jump, and it's literally 4 years out from the events of Rogue One. Now remember, this show builds up to Rogue One and how, the Empire is building up the Death Star. This is basically the infancy of the Empire and how they became who they are. Everybody knows about the Emperor. Stormtroopers already out doing their thing. Darth Vader's out there running his thing, and the Death Star is still being constructed. All the events, episode 3 already happened, all that stuff. Padme's passed away, everybody, Leia's doing her thing. Luke is on the farm in Tatooine. And the event of Rogue One sets up episode 4, 5, and 6, and the rest of the rebels becoming who they are, standing up against the Empire and destroying them at the end of it. So in this episode, we get to see Cassian and Bex, dealing with the aftermath of what happened from the previous year. Bex lost somebody. She's still dealing with the traumatic moment that when she was tortured from the last season. And Andor is just trying to find a way to help her out. But, she's kind of like distanced herself a little bit from him, because she kind of blames him in a way as well for what he's been doing. And also, for what his events happened to him from last season. And then, of course, we get to see some of the Empire, struggling to figure out certain things. And also see that the fact that, there might be some traitors among them. They're not even sure. We see the Resistance pretty much start to, realize, the Empire is starting to, get too strong. They need to figure out a way to stop them. Stop the Emperor from getting his power and all that stuff. Because remember, this is when the Emperor, remember when he got attacked, supposedly got attacked, he pretty much tricked everybody, and he made the Galactic Empire. Everybody wasn't really exactly sure what that meant. It was basically one politician saying, oh yeah, I'm going to change the world, or the galaxy in this case. And you start seeing the dark side of that stuff. You start seeing people get divided. You start seeing people, question what the Empire is going to be doing for the people itself. Not just for their side of them, a lot of politics and stuff like that. But, and also we get to see some returning people as well. We get to see Sarah return. He returns as well. He's trying to figure out certain things as well. You can't really tell if he's acting like he's a spy for either the Empire or for the rebels, because somebody's spying on him. And who his wife is. His wife is in the council of with the Emperor, with the Imperials, and he's trying to figure out something that might lead to somebody spying on him. He has no idea why, and he's just trying to figure out. And he sees people, protesting and figuring out why the Empire's doing this and why their people's feeling this way, and he's seeing it for his own eyes, and he's just trying to wrap all that in his mind. And I thought that was pretty interesting seeing that. We also get to see Forrest Whitaker's character come back as well, so that was pretty cool. Like I said before, this is way before episode Rogue One, so that was pretty interesting seeing that. And of course, Cassian talks to Lutheran once again about what do they have to do. They have to move some stuff around. They have to figure out who's on their side and who can they trust, and this and that. And it's starting to feel like the building blocks of what happened, what goes towards Rogue One. It's about to happen. It's going to happen. They're going to get, right now the Empire is talking about spiders and mining them and all that stuff, and that's cool. But once we get to the point, and in this season of oh yeah, there's some plans going on, because they know about some tower that they're building right now. They really don't know what that is. The Empire does, but the rebels and the others don't really know what the heck this tower is. Does that lead into the construction of the Death Star? Remember, all this leads up to how the Death Star gets built. And then, of course, they find out about the plans, and that's in Rogue One. And in Rogue One, we get the whole movie about them getting the plans to Princess Leia, and then Princess Leia to, the rest of the rebels to find a way to destroy the Death Star, and thinking that that would be the end of the Emperor and the Empire itself. But we all know how that turns out. But it does set up, Luke Skywalker and the rest of the thing. But you know what? For this episode, I thought it was pretty okay. It wasn't like a lot of action-y thing. It was more of a talky situation. But, it did build up some certain things in here, but not a lot. But, once I see episode 6, 5 and 6, I'll get a better understanding for what's going on here. But for right now, I feel like this is just the building blocks of what's going to happen. I really hope it just picks up because, honestly, I feel like there's a lot of ground to cover, but we have to wait and see what happens. I just hope the payoff ends up being pretty good. Get when this season started off strong, so I'm hoping that it continues strong. From last week's episode with Mothma dealing with the guilt, the fact that she had to let her daughter be in a forced marriage. Bix almost got the R word. At one point, seeing somebody get killed, somebody close to her get killed as well. And then dealing with that aftermath as well. Not only to mention the fact that she almost got tortured in the last season, Cassian is trying to do his best, but she's finding her way to divert herself from him. So we'll see if their bond can continue. It felt like they did at the end because there was a moment they were like doing like a touchy dance kind of a thing to each other. So maybe that's their way of getting back to each other's, good graces. So we'll see what happens. But for right now, not bad episode. Hopefully it's an okay episode. Hopefully we get the next 2 episodes for this week stronger. We'll see what happens. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought. Stay tuned. Thank you very much and have a good night.